Start out, it's easy. It's not like there's a lot of terms to learn. Anybody can breathe, anybody can have body awareness. So, our awareness of the innate energy that's already running through us.
All right, welcome Carol Weatherall to this episode of Quantum Conversations. I'm so excited to share this with you and to catch up with you because I was just thinking it was probably 5 years ago that we met in a level one workshop where we were both the students on our way to becoming instructors. And then after we met on that workshop, we kept in touch and we got together on a weekly Zoom just like this, and we would run the energy and practice with each other. And then we went on to become instructors, and then now you've even gone on to do level four. So it's really beautiful. I'm so glad that I've got to share this experience with you, and I can't wait to chat with you about it.
I'm
So
glad
Carol she's a certified quantum touch practitioner and level one and level four instructor, as well as she has a large background of body and energy work that she brings into it as well. So Carol, when you sent me some insights, you said that quantum touch is so simple and so profound. Can you explain what you mean by that?
so quantum touch has some basic understandings that are very simple. We work with the body, we work with the breath, we work with the concept of love, responsibilities. So we start out, it's easy. It's not like there's a lot of terms to learn. Anybody can breathe, anybody can
Mhm.
have body awareness. So it's really an anybody, anytime, anywhere modality, which is what I really, really like. I think where the profoundness comes in is yes, we all breathe, but how many of us don't breathe fully, right? Maybe we breathe from our chest because we're nervous, or how many of us are running around with our minds so busy we don't pay attention to our body,
Mhm.
right? We talk about love and we think about the emotion, but we don't necessarily take the intention and the attention to the heart
Mhm.
of how we want that to play out in our life. So when you go into quantum touch and you start looking at how you can do these things just a little bit more with attention and
Mhm.
intention rather than just going through life like, yeah, yeah, they have been.
Mhm.
There's no
Mhm.
real wrong way to do it, which takes a lot of the pressure out
Mhm.
of having to do it right. So you can relax into it. But when the body has an opportunity to breathe more fully, when we take the time to be more fully aware of being in our body and what that really means, when we become aware of the powerhouse of energy that we actually have in our heart and how we, in becoming more aware of it, we can actually direct it into the areas that we need to focus on. I mean, that's huge.
Mhm.
It changes your life. And yet it isn't hard. It really is quite simple.
Mhm.
It takes focusing. I think from classes I've had in level one, most students having the opportunity to play with the energy, having an opportunity to try new things, they
Mhm.
come out of class curious. They want to know more. What
Mhm.
if I apply these things to everyday life? It's
Mhm.
not just about healing someone else, which we can talk about later too, because that has its own meaning in quantum touch, right?
Mhm.
It's amazing to watch
Yeah.
and it's amazing to feel.
Yeah. And I think that's also something that drew me to quantum touch was it's the body awareness. It's not just energy. Well, it is energy, but we're grounding it in the body and in the presence. And that's what makes it so accessible. And really, how often in life are we invited to just be present and to bring our awareness in and to focus on our breath? Because it's incredible what happens and what you experience as soon as you start to bring your attention back into your body and into your breath. You also mentioned that you are in awe of the way and the ease at which the body can respond to healing by increasing our intention and our presence. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Okay, so you've already spoke to presence. Presence being our awareness, right? Our awareness of the innate energy that's already running through us. All right. And ways that we can cultivate that. I've always believed that the body has the ability to repair itself
Mhm.
and heal itself. So in quantum touch, we talk about the inner healer. The society knows very well that we can create disease in our body by the stresses, by the foods we eat, all of those things. If we can unintentionally do that, imagine what is possible when we consciously bring
Mhm.
this loving awareness and presence and direct the energy in a
Mhm.
really positive way towards our health.
Yeah.
So,
And one of the things we talk about in Quantum Touch is to celebrate the pain, which always catches people off guard. But that's kind of like what you just mentioned. Like we're becoming aware of our unconscious programming that is leading us down this path that is causing the pain. So the moment we're aware of it, we can consciously choose. And in that way, we celebrate the pain. So, how do you experience that with your students?
it's well received. I mean,
Yeah.
they understand it that pain is just your body going, hey, I need attention over here.
Mhm.
And for many of them, it's a new concept to say, okay, I recognize the pain. Thanks for telling me, right?
Mhm.
And then how do I direct my energy into feeling good? Feeling better?
Mhm.
What is needed to move through that area so that it will heal? That's where celebrating. I use this term congratulations. I'm sorry. It's kind of like, I'm sorry for your pain, but at the same time, congratulations. You found it, you're working with it. It's the beginning of opening new doors.
Yeah, I like to think of it as like a pivot point.
It is very much so.
So now how do you like to use intention and bring that into the work?
Okay. Are we talking intention or manifestation?
Well, see, this I think is a really interesting conversation because I have this understanding that our pain arrives, that area that we want to be healed, because it's no longer in alignment with that manifestation that's already on its way. So,
Okay.
in that respect, all healing is just the first step of the manifestation. So, I see them as the same.
Okay.
How do you see it?
I think intention is the intention starts the energy in the direction we want to go. And it can come very quickly because, as you say, it's getting into alignment. And that sounds complicated, but it's not really. I
Mhm.
think we already know and we feel it. Part of being aware in the body is feeling it when things are off, right? When people refer to it, I don't know how I feel, I just feel off. I often think of that as, oh, they're saying they're out of alignment with themselves. It really is about awareness of who we are, what we want in life, where we're going, what our heart is saying. If we are connected to higher guidance, what is that saying for us? And then where do we want to go with it?
Mhm.
What do we want to do with it? It's a much bigger question than I intend to wash my clothes tomorrow or something. It's not about the doing, it's about really coming into a recognition of an inspiration.
And you had mentioned that you sometimes feel guilty for the insights that you receive, which I thought was really interesting, but it's true when you're working with it all the time.
I call myself a recovering type A. I was do. The head kind of walked me around everywhere.
Yeah.
It worked very well professionally. It worked. I was a Girl Scout leader and my coordinator for a long time. So
Yeah.
it worked very well for the head to
Yeah.
drive on. it didn't work well for my physical body because I was oblivious to it. To really come into a place where body and the heart and the mind are all in sync or alignment and desire. It's a very easy place to be now.
Mm,
The breathing and sweeping just happens without thinking.
mhm,
And running it through my energetic system to get an answer
mhm,
is not hours of long drug
mhm,
out. What should I do? What will these people think if I do this, or what people will do
mhm,
with that? So it's not a labored process anymore.
mhm,
There's intention, there's attention, but I've also managed to clear out a lot of my old previous thinking and
mhm,
beliefs that were
mhm,
just clutter in making all those decisions.
mhm.
So now it's fairly easy to come to a decision quickly. And the fact that I take it for granted is what feels a little guilty.
Right.
It's just like this is too easy when I've come from a perspective of hard work. You
Right.
really got to work at it. You got to think it through 1,001 ways, or it's just you haven't given it any thought at all.
Yeah.
But it's just not like that anymore.
You have that felt sense of trust, and you know that the answer, the insight, the direction is going to appear when it needs to appear. And it's kind of like what we talk about with letting go of attachment to the outcome
It's
and just
very much.
trusting the process.
And I think about all the years, particularly like Girl Scouts, you would think ahead of all the possible things that could go wrong, and then you would prepare to make sure that if any of them happened, you had all your bases covered. It's not a lack of attention. If anything else, it's a greater attention, knowing that there are resources, there are choices. A lot of times when we feel we have no choice, we get very tunnel vision. It has to go this way, or it has to go that way, or I have to. The phrase is cross your T's and dot your I's. If you
Yeah.
didn't do that, you didn't do it right. This opens up the possibilities of being present in the moment and knowing you have the resources to get the job done one way or
Yeah.
another, and
Yeah.
quite possibly in ways you haven't yet. It opens up the field to so much more.
Yeah. Can you share a story where something came through and you wouldn't have seen that coming, where you just kind of surrendered and it worked out for you? I should
Well,
say worked out in a way you might not have expected.
I'll say teaching quantum touch level 4. I had thought about it probably a year and a half ago. And my previous modus operandi, if you'd call it, would be to methodically set up each of the courses. Well, at that time, I was confused about the 1, 2, 3, 4 system.
Yeah.
Like, do I have to do 2 and 3 before I can teach 4? And I took a course with Sue Rigby, bless her heart, and it was just Sue and I. And she goes, Tammy, are you planning on teaching? And I went, what? Will I have to do like 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, no. And that was the beginning of within months. The calendar just fell into line. I took Quantum Touch 4. You can take it like 4 times before you apply, right? Even the one trip, like I did most of them virtually. I was looking at the calendar at the end of last year. There wasn't anything in a virtual that was going to fit it. And Jason Carlson is in Texas. Jason was a colleague of Carol Lee.
Mhm.
Carol Lee. I've been working with Jason in terms of getting publishing and books and that kind of thing. So there's that Jason in Texas offering the very course I wanted on the one weekend in the month that I could do it. And Carol Lee had just passed, and there's Jason, right? It was just like all of the plans fell into place very easily. I'm not an experienced traveler, so I get a little nervous about that. Knowing Jason on the other end, it was easy to fly there. Then for the last course, I took it with Paul Pathy up in Canada, which was a
Mhm.
virtual, and that was a whole different experience too. So I had the opportunity to experience different instructors doing it in different ways. It's all the same material, but they all bring their flavor to it. It was so much fun. And then to go into mentoring with Miriam Hunter, and she's a great lot of fun to mentor with. So,
She was my level one mentor.
yeah,
Well, shout out to
she
Miriam.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, salute to Miriam because she is very thorough,
Mhm.
but she's very gentle and she's a lot of fun. And we just went through it, and here I am. So I'm just very excited. To me, it's where I was headed anyway.
Right.
All the time. I was actually even feeling somewhat frustrated in the circles that I run because I'm careful to stay in my own lane. I could
Mm.
teach level one, so I didn't want to offer anything more than that. But yet I was being pulled forward to the expanded work.
So
And
what aspects of level four have you really, I guess, I don't know, played with or expanded with that energy that you want to be in?
well, it's heart consciousness. The intention is to come from the heart,
Mhm.
and there are exercises to expand the energy in your heart to really just come from that place to invite it to become part of your full system.
Mhm.
So you're sharing it with the other chakras in your system. You're also processing, there's a technique called the energy and essence oil, which is a beautiful technique. In working with the energy, you get down below the emotions, you get down below the thinking, you get down below the beliefs, and you're taking it right into your energy system and basically asking each of your chakras from a non mental place for their contribution to how to answer the
Mhm.
question that you have. And it's just beautiful because it can be instantaneous, which is why, like I said, I feel a little guilty that I take it for
Mhm.
granted. It really goes deeply to the heart. It goes to knowing, it goes to an understanding that all your mental resources will still be there. They're
Mhm.
a lovely tool. It's not like we're saying check the mind out. We're not talking about that at all. We're just
Mhm.
really recognizing access we have
Mhm.
information and knowing in many different ways. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I played a lot with them.
Yeah. And how
It
has that energy come into your healing sessions? Do you have stories that you can share using the level four heart energy?
this is going to sound odd, but no stories to tell. It's kind of like I expected.
Okay.
We talked, part of being a body worker is massage therapist, and the hands, because massage gives you the license to touch, you can go ahead and put your hands. So I might be working on somebody, say it's their hip, but in the background, the questioning is constantly going on. It's like, put your hand here. Oh,
Mm.
okay. I want to be here on their leg instead. It was an ability I sort of had before,
Mhm.
but there's much more clarity to it. There's much
Right.
more acceptance that, well, of course, this is the way it is. Their body is working to heal itself. Their inner healer and my inner healer can communicate, which I take for granted. That information is readily available if I'm in a quantum frame of mind, if I'm
Mhm.
paying attention, if
Mhm.
my intention is to work with their inner healer.
Mhm.
Then Richard talks about normicals.
Mhm.
I think that's where the guilt is. You talk about miracles, but now they're sort of normal. So
Mhm.
they're normicals.
Mhm.
I no longer go, wow, this and this and this and this and this happened.
Mhm.
So it's like it's kind of more of a wow all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well, I
it's
think it's
it's
also just claiming that or that expectation that of course it's going to work. Of course it's going to happen. It is normal. And I experienced that too. I was doing a distance session and it was a remote one. So I didn't even tell her when I was going to do it. I was just going to say I was going to have it done by a certain time. And for whatever reason, the way my day worked out, I ended up sending the energy earlier than I had done in the past because she's a recurrent client. And she sends me an email and she's like, "Oh, I noticed that you were running the energy sooner because I could feel it in my body." And then she went on to say that what I had written her aligned with what she was experiencing.
Mhm.
And I read this email and I get this feedback, and part of me is just like I can't make this stuff up. But also
Mhm.
like this just happens all the time.
Yes.
That it's like, well, of course I would have expected you to feel the energy when I was running it, even though I didn't tell you the time. You would just know in your body because, of course, that's the energy just sends distantly. But yeah, then I always have this moment of just like awe because it's
Yeah.
still this moment of like, oh wow. But then it's like, of course.
Well, yes. And of course. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I think an interesting thing I realized is when I first started doing quantum touch, it was more in my mind. Okay, I need to breathe. I need to focus my attention. What's my intention? And I'm just kind of going through the laundry list of all the techniques and how we run energy. And it was more of like a mental task. And then somehow it was like I was being guided. And suddenly I would just realize that I was sending with throat chakra energy. I'm like, oh. And then it was like I was becoming aware of what was
Uh-huh.
already happening. And at that point, I realized that I wasn't even the one guiding the session, that I was just tuning into the energy and was that catalyst directing it.
The word I use now is embodiment.
Yeah.
Like the energy at first is maybe this concept, but then you start to own it. It's we
Mhm.
talk about vibrations and frequencies. It becomes a part of me now, almost like a library. You can call it up when
Mhm.
you want that vibration, but more times than not, it will show up on its own because you already own it. I think for many people who have taken energy modalities where they feel energy is not part of their body, it's like a separate thing,
Mhm.
they miss that this body and energy are so intimately connected. It is who we
Mhm.
are, and energy is there. I think one of the things I have found about quantum touch more so than other energy modalities is that we cultivate the energy within ourselves and then we share it, the fullness of it. So we talk about entrainment and resonance and words like that, which resonance being, we're basically broadcasting the vibration that we are. And then to have others and train with it to raise their vibration. Again, it's not even a doing. I like it in that we walk in the world every day, contributing to the world just because we do our own inner work.
That's that presence simply. And I think that's one of the things I loved about quantum touch. Like, I at first came to it because I was like, I am going to become a practitioner and I am going to help people heal. And then it quickly became oh wow, this is more of a being thing. And then I quickly realized that I was using quantum touch more in my everyday, more in driving, being with my kids, my husband, whatever I was doing. You're talking with someone and they have this trauma or this drama that they're sharing with you, and you just start running the energy. And then you realize, oh, this is natural. This is a life skill. We're all capable of this. And it's more than outside of just the one-on-one healing session. And absolutely that has its place. But I think that is like the transition point to where we come into a society where this is a known thing, that this is how we care for people. This is how we relate. This is how we interact from this presence. And I see that's where we're going. I know that's what really fueled me into wanting to become an instructor, is share that beauty.
Yeah. like I said, anybody, anytime, anywhere. It
Mhm.
is a life skill to recognize the energy of who you
Mhm.
are. For us as quantum touch practitioners, it's only a few breaths away
Mhm.
that we can cultivate it to a higher level, get us through a stressor in the moment instead of getting tied up in knots, just because we take the time to be aware
Mhm.
and intent and
Mhm.
breathe. I want that for others. I want that
Mhm.
for, the mom who's stressed or the
Mhm.
9 to 9 worker or, you
Mhm.
know, to have them recognize that lies directly within them. It's
Mhm.
not something special you have to do.
Mhm.
It's available to anybody. I think we're very much on the same page about that. Innate.
Yeah.
Let's bring it out in everyone.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And one last insight you told me, and I wrote down the entire quote because I was like, this is so beautiful. You said, the greatest joys of this work is a deeper trust in knowing myself, a greater relationship with my inner healer, an ability to move through deeper emotional issues more quickly, and a deeper trust in my own spirituality and with the universe.
I will tell you that level 4 really solidified that.
Right.
It really, when you work with heart consciousness, there are other courses too, but love for the universe or for others, but for yourself, which depending on your upbringing, that can be a tough thing.
Mhm.
So to go deeper and deeper into that trust also allows you to trust the universe more too. For many years, there was always a lovely sentiment of, I trust that the universe is benevolent. And of course, I wanted to believe it and I could even really think it, but to embody it is a whole nother level. To know that it is true in this body. This is not to say life is without its faults. Part of letting go is it's not about the bone, it's about what doors it opens so that we grow in the process, so others may grow in the process. It really has become about how much love can you hold?
Mhm.
How much can you possibly take in? How much do you possibly have to give?
Letting go, you kind of talked about that earlier, but when you let go, it's like you let go of that rational thinking, but then you're open up to the miracle, the normal, to what's for your greatest and highest good. You're open to what is for you.
And when it is for you, it goes easy. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds funny, but to be in alignment, it's like everybody just throws the doors open. It might take a little soul searching to get to the place where you're in alignment, but again, it's a practice. I don't consider quantum touch as something to do. It's a paradigm. It's a
Mhm.
way of thinking. It's a way of working with your own beingness.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much, Carol. This has been such a delight. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.